left. Well, welcome to our cellar. Welcome to our cellar, or should I say larder? That's the term that is trending now. It's just a cellar. It's a good old-fashioned cellar. It's made properly. It has the proper ventilation. I mean, this cellar was really done right and done well. It's got the gravel flooring so that I can't remember the reason. I know that in order to have a proper cellar, it has to have a gravel flooring. But I don't remember why. But I know that it's got all of the proper things for a cellar because I have looked it up before, although I can't remember all of the things now that you have to do to make a proper cellar. I know that this one has it. I get more preoccupied and psyched about creating all of the food on the shelves, obviously. So as you can see, well, I guess they look pretty full right now. That's because I have been going through and canning a lot lately. So canning for me is not just a harvest and a summertime thing. I can all through the winter too. So as the jars start emptying and we start having all of our empty jars from the food that we've used, I fill them back up. When we butcher our chickens in the early summer or late spring, I take and I disassemble them. That's not the right word. Boy, I'm really on a roll today, aren't I, with like mental clarity. I think it's called butchering up. When I butcher up the chickens, and I like to take them apart. I like to take the wings off. I like to take the backs off. I like to take the backs so specifically and put them all in freezer bags. As I have more time, usually starting in around February, I will start canning my chicken broth, and I'll just do like marathons where I can up a whole bunch at a time, and it usually goes on for a couple months where I'm canning chicken broth. I'll do a batch or two every week, and I will stock up on chicken broth that way. And then I will also do beans. I did a whole video about that. I'll try to remember to link to it in the cards up here or here and show you guys how I do my beans. But you can also join me on Patreon, and I have a whole course about how to can beans on Patreon. Anyways, these are chickpeas or garbanzo beans, and as you can see, we don't have very many right now. I need to can up a whole bunch more. This is a chicken broth that it's colder in here right now, and this chicken broth is almost gelled in the jar. That's how rich and thick my chicken broth is. We still have green beans, lots of green beans to eat, and we're out of salsa, completely out of salsa. Usually these shelves will be filled with salsas, but we didn't have a very good harvest last fall. Last growing season was not our typical growing season, and we kept running out of water, and that didn't really faze the garden that much because we had just enough to ink through, but the weather was just so wild and weird that we lost a lot starting out. We have jellies in here, and yeah, so this is my cellar. I've got some pickled beets up here. I got lots of pickled beets. I didn't know I had all these pickled beets left. I'm gonna have some of these for dinner tonight. Very cool. I need these too. I've been struggling to keep my iron up, and these are gonna help. Anyways, little tour of our larder. Do you think we have enough egg cartons? This beam up here is special. I attached a whole bunch of screws to the back side, and in October or late September, right before we get the first hard frost of the year, I will pull my tomato plants. Now last year we didn't have any, but the year before that, and then the year before that, I think it was, we had tomato plants that still had lots of green tomatoes on them, and there were so many. They were prolific. So maybe you saw it in some of my previous videos, because I did show it in some of my previous videos. But what I do when we have the extra tomatoes is I will hang them from this beam right here, and they will come way down like 5-6 feet down to here. And it's really cool because the tomatoes ripen as the weeks go on. There's also, you can't see it in the picture, but there are footers going this way, and I also hang the tomato plants off of these footers. So literally In October and November and December, if you come in here, it's gonna look like this weird forest with all of the tomatoes hanging. But what is really special is one year we were eating tomatoes, fresh tomatoes from our garden all the way till after Christmas. Peppers are another one that we can hang in here, although we did those out in our cabin and they did really well out there. But if we have extra space to do the peppers in here, we'll do the peppers too. One time we ate peppers. We were eating fresh peppers and they were still fresh from our garden. They'd been preserved hanging upside down, and being on the vine, it just prolonged the life to them. And we were eating fresh peppers in March last year. I'm not kidding. Now these were serranos, so they were a smaller pepper, but we were just delighted to be eating those all the way into March last year. It's the time of the year where I do a lot of canning. I'm trying to clean out all the freezers of all the chicken bones that I've been saving up and make chicken broth before spring hits. But we do have a lot of empty jars in here right now. Last year was a smaller harvest, so the cellar is not as full as it normally is or as impressive as it normally is. Lots of empty jars. Let's go over 10 foods to keep out of the root cellar and 10 foods that do well in the cellar. While I do that, let's do some B-roll. I'm going to be mixing some gluten-free flour blend. The first one is actually tomatoes. I know I just said I had tomatoes in there, but if your cellar is too cold, you don't want to put them in. And I think we all know why. Cold kind of kills the flavor and texture. Garlic needs to be air dried before it goes into a cellar. The damp will make it rot. Onions and potatoes, never store them together. Onions release a gas that causes potatoes to sprout faster, and onions rot really quickly in a cellar, I found. You don't want to put like fresh herbs like basil because those will wilt in a cold and damp cellar. Breads and baked goods. The moisture in a cellar will make them mold. Honey is not good to put in a cellar because the cold will cause it to crystallize and get super duper hard. You have to chisel it out. So you want to store it at room temperature. Cooking oils, kind of the same as honey. Now you do want to store them in the cellar because it will preserve the life, make them last longer. However, you want to pull them out at least a day before you're going to need to use them. Otherwise, they're going to be solid in the jar. Coffee is not good in a cellar. The moisture and temperature swings kill the flavor. Most tropical fruits like bananas, avocados, citrus, they are not good in a cellar because the cold storage damages them. Lastly, canned goods with compromised lids or seals. Never store them in the cellar in questionable jars. When in doubt, throw it out. Oh, I've got one more, an 11th one. Grains. One time we stored our grains in our cellar and we had a bucket go bad and we realized, oh, we can't do that. It's too moist in there, duh. So make sure you store all of your grains in 5-gallon buckets with camel lids, not in a cellar. Put them in a dry pantry. Okay, here's the 10 things that thrive in a root cellar. Potatoes, they love the cool and the dark and the slightly humid. Carrots, same thing. Pack them in damp sand or sawdust. They'll last for a long time. Apples, they store really well in a root cellar, but you definitely want to keep them away from other vegetables because they release ethylene gas that speeds up the ripening in everything else in the room. Cabbage loves the hearty and cold of a cellar. Beets, again, they do really well in a cellar. Turnips and parsnips, they actually sweeten up in cold storage. Winter squash, if it's cured properly first, then move to the dry spot in the cellar, they can last a few months. Canned and preserved goods, of course, are wonderful in a cellar. They love the cold and it helps them keep their color and last longer. Garlic braids, as long as they were cured first. They have to be cured and have a nice shell of dry skins on the outside. And the last one is pears. Like apples, they store really well in cool temperatures, but you want to check them regularly. Friend, if this video got you thinking about feeding your family better without the stress and overwhelm, I have something for you. Inside my homemaking course, Restored and Radiant, Module 5 is all about nourishing your family from scratch. I cover meal planning, batch cooking, baking your own bread and pantry staples, food storage and preservation, and how to feed your family well on any budget. It is practical, no fluff training that I wish I had had when I was first starting out. The link is below. I would love to see you in there.